So we've made our contact sheet. We know which negative we would like to make an enlargement from. The next step is to mount it into the negative carrier. I talked about these in an earlier video, but the bottom is going to have these little protruding bumps. Those help it register straight in the enlarger. It hinges open. This hinge is kind of fragile, so please work on this light table out here so that it has some support when you open it up. You can turn on the light table. I think that's going to honestly trip out the video to no end, but I would recommend that you use the light table if you, when you do this. That is kind of what it's here for. So you're going to take whichever negative it is that you decided you wanted to print, and they tend to curl up a little bit. If I push this in, you can see this is one of the negative carriers which has this sort of, it's almost like, think of nail heads kind of sticking down or sticking up. And you can see that as I slide the negative in, it helps hold them flat, kind of hold it in place. And so then when I close the negative carrier, there we go, it's all registered in place. Let me turn the light on. It's not hopelessly obnoxious for you. So you can see that the negatives in there supported evenly. You don't want to, put it in so you're seeing the line of the next negative coming through or any of that silliness. Another thought with this, however, is that maybe it's not laying totally flat and you're starting to have sort of some focus problems with it. Especially when your film's just been developed and it hasn't been sitting, being sort of squished in your binder for a long time. You can wind up having problems with that. So what I do is I make a couple little tabs. See, I'm making it all user-friendly, so I'll be able to peel it off later on one side. And now I take those tabs and I adhere them to just the sprocket holes on either side of the image that I want to print. Oops. Okay. And then I can tuck that in, and I can pull, rotate this so you can see, I can pull outward on that negative to sort of stretch it flat into the carrier. And now when I close the carrier, it's just that much flatter. An additional advantage to using tape is that now, if I tilt it or something, that negative is not going to slide back and forth when I go into the lab. This is also a stage where it's important to look for dust and make sure that you've gotten any extra dust off of there. It's much nicer to do it now than to wait until you've carefully focused your negative in the enlarger, you get it all, you make your test strip, then you recognize big giant pieces of dust and you've got to go way back to the drawing board, take the negative out, clean the dust off, put it back in, refocus, and possibly even have to do another test strip or something like that if you tweaked things too much. So I will show you how to properly do that using the orange anti-static cloth if you have one, or using compressed air. So you want to print one of these negatives, you're getting all gung-ho to put it in the carrier. Don't forget that the best thing, if you're using the orange Ilford brand anti-static cloth, I think that's really the best kind I've found, that it's best to use this first before you tape it in place. If you cleaned a window, how the lint would sort of want to pile up at the corners of that window, right? Same principle here. If I try to sort of wipe this once it's mounted into that aluminum window, it's going to be harder to get it all clean. So what you do is just hang on to one corner of your negative, get a good grip, and just wipe down evenly one time. This is leaving behind an anti-static coating which is going to kind of repel dust from coming back onto there. And so now, at this point, if we sort of minimize our handling of it when it comes to applying the tape and getting it in place, we should be pretty good as far as dust is concerned. The anti-static cloth should never be exposed to water, really, at all. Like, definitely don't think, oh, I'll just take it home and throw it in the washing machine. That's gonna ruin it. Then you just have a $12 washcloth. So, you want also to always keep it in a plastic Ziploc bag that seals, so that you keep the dust off it. It's going to be as useful as, you know, how you keep it. If you don't keep it clean, it's just going to be a thing for applying dust to your negatives. So now I've mounted this in here, and you can see how it's curling around a little bit. Remember, the emulsion side is the dull side, and it's going to always curl kind of toward the emulsion. We want the emulsion side facing down in the negative carrier. We want the shiny side facing up toward our faces. Now, the canned air, that I wait until I'm right at the enlarger to use that, if I'm going to use that, because that doesn't leave that anti-static coating behind, and it's a little more likely to just, you know, have dust come back. So I'll show you what my usual approach is. I honestly use both a lot of the time. So I'll set it up with by using the compressed air for the anti-static cloth. I'll use the anti-static cloth first, and then when I get ready to put it in the enlarger, after I've walked through that hallway of dust, right, I'll just get a little bit, you know. And the other trick you can do, I mean, remember, you're not supposed to have the enlarger light on and open this negative stage if someone else is working. If you're working with, bleh, I can't talk today, can you tell? But I'm probably going to save this video. You can leave the light on if you're the only person working. You're not going to bother anybody. So when that's the case, I'll leave the light on and use that as a way to sort of look in and see if there's any dust, and whisk it off a little bit if there is some, and then when I'm sure I've gotten it all, I'll just slide it in place the rest of the way and close it up. If someone else is working, so I can't do that, first of all, let's raise this up a little bit. This is not at a height you would really be printing at. So if someone else were here printing, what I would do is make sure my negative stage is closed. I would turn on the light. I'd make sure the aperture was wide open. I'm going to want it open for focusing anyway. And then I'll just kind of tip the negative under the light. And you'll be able to see. If there's dust sitting on that shiny surface, you're going to see it. So, you know, just a little scooch of air, and you'll be good. And then, I almost did it, shut it off. Up into the negative stage we go. Now the negative stage, a little more clarity on that. When this is open, you can see there's a round area in there. I know you can't see that in the video, but so there's a round circle cut out, and this is made to register in place. You can see as I'm moving it, it's kind of locked in. That's those 4 pins that were sticking down on the bottom of the negative carrier. They are engaging in this bigger circular area on the negative stage, and so that makes your negative instantly centered under the light path, so that it's going to create the truest, most evenly illuminated image that it possibly can when that light shines down from the lamp house through your negative and comes out the lens on the other side. So now we just have to close this up, and we're ready to move to the next process, which is to use your focusing sheet and work with the up and down to adjust what level of crop, if any, you'd like, and then to finally focus, of course, with the focusing knobs to draw it into place